All right, everyone. It looks like we're going to go ahead and get started here. Good morning, everyone. My name is Matt Lieber, and welcome to our Knology Education Series event, Communication and Collaboration from the Cloud with Microsoft Office 365. We found here at P&L Technology that there is a lot happening in the technology industry and that it can be overwhelming to business owners. We hope these sessions can bring some clarity to some of the different technology buzzwords that are being used in the industry today. The topic, once again, that we are covering today is Microsoft's cloud product, Office 365. Here's an overview of how this session will work. This is a listen-only event, and it will be recorded. If you do have any questions, please chat them in, and we'll save time at the end to address as many as we can. Following the session, we will introduce some future topics that we hope you will be interested in learning more about. And you will be receiving an email as well that will contain a short survey that we hope you will take the time to fill out, as it will assist us in making future sessions more informative. And finally, this webinar is created for a broad audience with both business executives and IT executives in mind. We hope you find this session valuable and informative to your business. Now on to the presenter for today. The presenter is Drew Embury, and Drew is the Executive Vice President and Partner in P&L Technology. He helped establish the company back in 2004, and he's continuing to assist in developing new technology strategies that can help local businesses and organizations. With that, I will hand things off to Drew.
Great, Matt. Thanks for the introduction. We've got a great topic today here in Microsoft Office 365. This is a product that's really generating a lot of buzz in the IT community and is certainly a very ripe topic for today's webinar. So what are we going to cover today? Well, we're going to look at what is Microsoft Office 365. We're going to look at what makes Microsoft Office 365 such a compelling product. We're going to look at what plans are available for Microsoft Office 365. We're going to examine key questions you should ask yourself to determine if Office 365 is right for your business. We're going to take a look at a case study of a local business who has embraced Office 365. And we're going to leave plenty of time at the end for questions and answers. So let's go ahead and move on to the first topic. So what is Microsoft Office 365 and what does it consist of? Well, Microsoft Office 365 is Microsoft's cloud-based versions of its flagship communications and collaboration technologies that are delivered from the cloud. Now just to back up a little bit, when we say the word cloud, what we mean in this instance is that instead of running these technologies from servers that you own, that your business owns, and manage at your business location, these services are instead run from a data center hosted by Microsoft and managed by a Microsoft partner company such as P&L Technology. By running these technologies from the cloud, you can realize a whole host of benefits that we'll discuss later on at the webinar. As a side note, if you would like an additional primer on cloud computing, you can access our webinar titled, Is Cloud Computing Right for You? That is archived on our website. This webinar goes into more detail on cloud computing, where today's webinar is just more specific to Office 365. So what technologies have Microsoft chosen to bundle with Office 365? As we discussed earlier, Office 365 is a bundle of existing Microsoft products that are delivered from the cloud. And which product you get depends on which Office 365 plan you select and subscribe to. We're going to dive more into the available plans in just a few minutes. Note this webinar is not about the benefits of the individual products for the most part, so arrange to talk to me afterwards if you aren't familiar with some of the products that are bundled in Microsoft Office 365. The main component Microsoft Office 365 has bundled is Microsoft Exchange Email. This is Microsoft Exchange version 2010, which includes everything that companies have grown to expect from Microsoft Exchange. The ability to send and receive email, personal calendaring and calendar sharing, the meeting planning features, contact management, and to-do tasks. Microsoft Office 365 Exchange offers the ability to access email from Microsoft Outlook like most of you are probably already used to. The ability to access this email through any web browser anywhere on the internet, or also through a smartphone or iPad. The bottom line is if you're used to running Outlook today with a locally installed Exchange system, there's going to be very few changes with the exception of possibly some of the new features that the more recent versions of Exchange offers. The second product Microsoft's bundled with Microsoft Office 365 is Microsoft SharePoint. So SharePoint is the web-based document collaboration technology that's perfect for sharing documents with outside vendors or outside partners, or creating tools like a company intranet site, an intranet for your employees. This technology also has strong use cases for companies that have a lot of mobile employees and need to easily share information with them without a VPN or another technology along those lines. And the third technology that Microsoft bundled with Microsoft Office 365 is Microsoft Lync. This is a product that many of you may not be familiar with. And what Lync is an instant messaging product that's great for exchanging quick bits of information in a rapid fashion back and forth between employees or between staff, and doing things like keeping track of the status of an entire office, such as who is out to lunch, who is at an appointment, and when they will return. And so its main uses are basically sending instant messages between employees that's much quicker, much simpler, and much faster than sending an email. So now that we've looked at the components that make up Office 65, let's dive a little more and see why Office 65 is such a compelling product. So mainly due to the fact that Microsoft Office 365 allows businesses to relocate their important communication tools that many companies are already using in an on-premise delivered solution to the cloud. So this offers a number of very compelling benefits, including moving large upfront investments in licensing and installation labor to a more manageable monthly expense. So for instance, we've had a number of customers who are really looking at a bill of over $10,000 or more to upgrade their existing Microsoft Exchange system. One in mind had around 50 users. They needed to upgrade and remove some of the limits of the older Exchange versions. And instead of spending that $10,000 on hardware and software and labor, we were able to bring in Microsoft Office 365 for around $200 a month, thus avoiding that big upfront investment. Another reason that Office 365 is so compelling is the jumbo email boxes of 25 gigabytes apiece. That really helps facilitate the vast growth in email storage needs that most companies have experienced over the last few years. Another huge benefit of the big jumbo email boxes is it can help remove the necessity for PST files. So PST files are email storage files that many companies have used to help expand this email storage needs by taking email out of the email system and moving it into those local PST files on a user's PC. The problem with this is it just doesn't work very well. The PST files commonly lock up and they're prone to corruption, so they're prone to even losing email that's been put into those. So Office 365 can help eliminate the need for these PST files two ways. One, by offering the very large 25 gigabyte mailbox storage limit per employee. Most employees find this is more than enough and they don't have the need for PST files anymore. And the second very compelling option is there is a plan in Office 365 that includes unlimited email storage. And we'll talk about this a little more in just a bit. Another big benefit to Office 365 is it removes a lot of the burden with running an email system from your IT support team. So email systems require a lot of maintenance. Maintaining the server that runs the system, applying security update and patches, and performing the routine maintenance that's needed to keep the system running smoothly, and ensuring the email system is backed up properly. By outsourcing this activity, a great deal of that work can be shifted to somebody else. So in this case, both Microsoft and your Microsoft partner. And the last benefit is it really always puts the latest technology in front of your staff without the need to constantly upgrade the system. So most companies upgrade their Exchange or other email system every 4 years or so to gain access to the new features and functionality, and just to remain current on and supported on the system. So what they have to do is buy new software licenses, buy new hardware to run the email system on, pay for somebody to do the technical upgrade work. And the process is always a hassle for the organization. There's downtime and things that need to be set back up and all of those activities. So by moving that to the cloud, most of that activity can disappear for good, and your business always gains access to the new version and its associated features and benefits automatically when it's released by Microsoft. The other thing that makes Office 365 so compelling is Microsoft has delivered a lot of flexibility in it, and they've got different plans for every business need. So let's take a quick look at those plans right now. So Microsoft Office is essentially available in 4 separate plans. There's recently just been, at the end of March 2012, a price drop of 20% as well. So the prices I'm going to show you today include that reduction in cost. The first plan I'd like to show you is the Microsoft Office 365 email-only plan. And this is a very popular plan that we have with our customers. So this plan includes a 25 gigabyte email box that we talked about. It includes the spam filtering, and it's priced at $4 per user per month. So this is great for companies that just have Exchange today. They don't have the need for SharePoint or Lync or any of those other features, and they want to have a real cost-effective solution in place. The second plan is called Office 365 E1. So this plan includes the jumbo 25 gigabyte email box. It also includes Microsoft SharePoint and Microsoft Lync. So it gives you the ability to set up the document collaboration, to do the intranet sites, to push documents out to mobile users easier. And then it also gives you the Microsoft Lync for the inter-office communication. This plan is priced at $8 per user per month. The next plan up after that is called Office 365 E2. That essentially includes everything in the E1 plan, so the email, the SharePoint, the Lync. It also includes what's called Office Web Apps. And what Office Web Apps is, it's a replacement of Microsoft Office that runs in a web browser. Now, we're actually not recommending this plan for most people. And what we found is the Office Web Apps are really not yet suitable as a substitute for a full version of Microsoft Office. And we find that there's too many features and too much functionality that's missing in those products right now to really be a fit for most people. There are a couple of really narrow use cases where we found it to be a great solution, but at this time we're not recommending this plan for most people. However, this plan is priced at $14 per user per month. Another very popular plan is the Microsoft Office 365 E3 plan. And this includes everything in the E2 plan and everything above, the email, the SharePoint, the Lync, the Office Web Apps, but it adds two very compelling features. One is an unlimited email storage, and the other is the Microsoft Office Pro Plus license. So what this allows is, or where we recommend this very frequently, is for very high volume email users, because it does remove that 25 gigabyte email limit that's inherent in all the other plans. So this is great for executives or salespeople or anybody that really has a need to keep a ton of email, or really one of those people that never wants to delete an email or always have an audit trail of every communication they've made. The other thing that's included in this plan, as I mentioned, is the Microsoft Office Pro Plus license. So instead of having to buy a Microsoft Office license with a new PC or license it separately, this plan gives you a perpetual subscription to that Microsoft Office version that can be installed on your PC. Because it's a perpetual license, then you always get access to the latest version as it's released. So we have seen some companies that instead of buying Office in another way, have just subscribed to the E3 plan and gotten their Microsoft Office software that way. The other real compelling benefit for these plans is you can mix and match these plans. So for example, a real common scenario we see is a lot of companies purchase the E1 plan for all their staff. But for a few executives or salespeople or other people with employees with huge email needs, they'll put a few of those people on the E3 plan and get the benefits of the unlimited email storage. So now that we've looked at the plans that are available, let's look at some of the decision factors that we find that businesses go through when making the decision to switch to Office 365. What we found is probably one of the main decision points, or one of the main triggers that causes people to look at the Office 365 is when there's older systems, such as a physical server or a server operating system or something else that's outgrown its lifespan and needs to be replaced. So what we find companies going through is rather than relicensing the latest version of Microsoft Exchange, paying for the licensing costs, buying a new server to run Exchange on, designing a backup solution to back up and protect all that email, and then paying the associated large upfront labor expense with making the change, companies are bringing in Microsoft Office 365 instead, and then trading that large upfront expense with a very manageable monthly payment. Also getting the benefits we talked about earlier, always getting the latest version as it's released, and escaping that constant upgrade cycle where every 4 years you're going through an upgrade associated with running Microsoft Exchange. By upgrading to the cloud as the new versions are released, you get access to those without expensive upgrades or a lot of downtime. Another decision point we need is when companies are running older versions of Microsoft Exchange, especially version 2003. And a lot of companies are finding that this version is no longer meeting business needs. One of the big things we see is Microsoft Exchange version 2003 is limited to a 75 gigabyte storage capacity for the entire company. And many companies are now finding themselves bumping up against that limit and needing more capacity as the needs for email storage have grown. Another ability is a lot of companies have found the need to bring in Microsoft's latest server OS version 2008 for other business reasons, but find that their current version of Exchange just isn't compatible with it. So really, when they run into these two things, limitations in Exchange or limitations in the operating system, they're going through the same thought process as above. Rather than reinvest in the internally delivered Exchange, why not bring in Office 365 to handle those needs and enjoy the lowered cost and reduced complexity? Another big decision factor we see entering the fray when people are looking at Office 365 are some of the disaster recovery benefits that are available with not having Exchange local to your business. Making email available off-site from an off-site data center can be a big part of a disaster recovery plan that a business puts together. So many customers tell us that they can wait 24 hours or more if they have a server crash, or maybe they've got a minor fire or flood or a tornado comes through. But Drew, can you just get my email back up, or can you just make sure my email remains up? Is something we hear a lot. Just so I can communicate with my customers, I can handle business, I can communicate with my employees, while things like the accounting system are restored. I can live without that for a little bit of time. And Office 365 really delivers here. Even if there were to be a disaster, the email is working since it's delivered from an off-site data center, while the technical team then works to restore any on-site IT equipment. So those are the decision factors we mainly see. Let's take a look at an exact case study from a local business that's embraced Office 365. So one of our customers that we installed Office 365 for, they were a construction company located here in Omaha, Nebraska, and they have about 35 total users, and many of these people are project supervisors based in the field. This particular organization was running an older Microsoft Exchange server, running Windows Server 2003, and they were running Exchange Server 2003 on that server that was locating at their business premises. The company was starting to have issues with that older server. It was beginning to lock up. The server was 5 years old, and they knew it was time for replacement, but it kind of continued to run, so it was kind of out of sight and out of mind. The company was also starting to have issues with not only the older server, but we're also bumping into that 75 gigabyte email limit for the entire company. So 35 people were sharing that 75 gigabyte storage capacity that is inherent in Microsoft Exchange 2003. So due to their nature as a construction company, it was necessary to save a lot of that back and forth communication as a document of project decisions that were made by the customer. So just in case the customer would come back and say, hey, I never authorized that, or we never talked about that, it was very easy to produce that email communication string and really protect the project from being a success. So we had priced out an on-premise Exchange 2010 upgrade for this customer that included a server and a software licensing and the installation labor. And it came to over $9,000 for those 35 users. And that was basically getting as aggressive as we could just due to the nature of basically the cost of the licensing. So the company instead, we showed them Office 365, and it really became a kind of a no-brainer decision for them. They went ahead and purchased the Office 365 email-only plan that we talked about because the company did not currently have the need for Exchange or Link or SharePoint. And they brought that in at the $4 per user per month. And then they had basically a one-time, around a $3,000 project to basically get them converted to the cloud. So at this point now, then the company is enjoying, instead of 75 gigabytes for 35 people, each user has a 25 gigabyte mailbox. So the users are much happier with all that additional storage capacity. They don't have to worry about going through and cleaning up their email so frequently. And then the company will basically never have to upgrade their email system again. When Microsoft comes out with Exchange 2012 or whatever version it is, they'll automatically receive that upgrade at no cost and no hassle, really. In addition, as we mentioned before, the company will benefit from having email located off-site in the case of a disaster such as a server crash scenario. So Matt, that kind of comes to the end of our overview of Microsoft Office 365. Do we have any questions that have come in that we can go to now?
Yeah, Drew, it looks like we do have about 5 questions who were chatted in during during the presentation. If anybody else does have any more further questions, feel free to chat it in. We will attempt to get to it. First question we have is, I've got an existing Exchange system that needs to be upgraded. What is the conversion process like from my on-site Exchange server to Office 365?
Sure, absolutely. That's a great question. And basically what we do as a partner company is we provision the new email boxes essentially to mirror the email boxes on your old Exchange. And then there are some conversion tools in place where we can install the conversion tools on your existing Exchange server, where it'll automatically migrate all of the email from the on-site server to the new hosted server. After the email is all migrated, we make a switch to tell your internet zone, so whatever internet domain that you currently receive email on, the domain is the last part of your email address after the @ sign, to start delivering that email and make the change from the on-site system to the Microsoft Office 365 system. And then basically we have to go around and we just reprogram each PC for about 10 minutes to reprogram it to instead to look at the local Exchange server to look to the Microsoft Cloud Exchange server. The other step that then needs to be taken is basically a quick reprogram of each phone or iPad or other mobile device that you currently have hooked up to the system to work the other way, to work with the 365 system. So the entire process for 35 users, it's maybe a 2-day process, but almost all of that is behind the scenes, and the disruptions to the users is fairly minimal with the exception of reprogramming their phones.
All right, the next question here is, what is the response time on issues if you move your email over to Microsoft, and what impact does this have on your bandwidth use?
Oh, another really good question. So the response time on issues. So we actually have had almost no issues with the Microsoft Office 365 as far as downtime or anything like that goes. Most of the people that we work with, they want to work with a Microsoft partner company. So a company like us then insulates them from having to work with Microsoft. So basically, for them, it works about the same. They let us know if there's any kind of issue or any kind of challenge we have. We'll take a look at their PC or their Microsoft Outlook to see if the issue's there. If the issue does coincide with Microsoft, a partner company like us has chat and phone-based support where we can engage Microsoft engineers to resolve those problems. But we've really only had to do that a couple of times, and we've got 20 or 30 customers so far that have converted over to this system, and most of the issues we've had to engage Microsoft have been fairly minor. So working with Microsoft, partner companies like us are very used to that. For end user people who are not IT people, I don't think they would love that experience just because Microsoft is much more adept at working with companies like us rather than the end users. So I hope that answers that first question. And then you asked about bandwidth as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So what impact does this have on your bandwidth use? So Microsoft, what we have to have on the desktop is at least Microsoft Outlook version 2007. And that has a setting in it called cached mode, where if anybody sends you an email, that's downloaded over the internet to the Microsoft version of Outlook, and then it's stored locally there. So anytime you access it or as you're flipping through your email, you're working off that local copy of your email and not chewing up your company's bandwidth. So we've actually found the bandwidth usage to be almost the same as running an on-site Microsoft Exchange server. Because if you think about it, the email is delivered to your local Exchange server, which takes bandwidth, and then any email you send out is sent out from the local Exchange server that uses bandwidth. So you're still sending the emails in and out. They're just going from your Outlook email client to the Microsoft 365 over the internet. So I suppose theoretically it uses slightly more bandwidth, but in practice we haven't found this to be really an issue at all. And in fact, we've never even had to upgrade any of our customers' email or internet lines or internet bandwidth since we've deployed 365.
All right, the next question here for you, Drew, is does 365 have settings to make sure security concerns are covered, for example, scans for personal information and or encryption secure email?
It does. There is an optional encryption package that can be purchased and installed that that you can choose to encrypt messages, which will encrypt them, end to end. We actually have not delivered that on 365 yet, but I do know it is available, and we've had one customer that's currently looking at that, and I believe it's like a $2 per user per month add-on is the price. That may be right under $2. But if anybody would like me to do a little more information on that, I'd certainly be happy to get offline with them and cover that.
The next question here is, does 365 allow upload of your current email and archive files?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's critical, and that's something we really focus on as a partner company, is really making the experience very transparent for the end user. And that certainly involves moving any of their settings over so it looks exactly like it did before. Everything's in the same place as it was before. So, as I mentioned before, we need to convert any email, any calendars, any contacts, any tasks, anything that's currently in the local system to the 365. And then the other good thing that person pointed out is the PST files. So if the customer is using a lot of PST files, usually we'll make a second pass through the organization, and this is a little bit more of a manual process. We locate those PST files, and then we import that back into the inbox. And by doing that, all of the email is secure on the 365 system. It's all in one place, which usually we find people really like, because then they can find things and they can use the integrated search tools and things like that much easier. And then we don't have the data at risk in those PST files anymore, which then also makes it available remotely on phones and iPads and using the web browser, where if it's on the PST file, it's only available when you're sitting at your desk.
All right, Drew, and the final question here is, if a new version is released from Microsoft, do they provide the training, or are we on our own to learn the new version?
Microsoft really leans on partner companies like us to do that. So, that's something we try to do, or other partner companies I know do, is really guide people through that process. But, for the most part, Microsoft can change the server technology, which can release some new features, but most of the time if they upgrade the server technology, it really doesn't change the user experience much. And so the user experience really is dictated by that version of Microsoft Outlook you're running locally. So if I'm running Microsoft Outlook 2010 like I am today, and I'm very familiar and very comfortable with, and Microsoft upgrades the server to version 2012, I'm going to continue to work really just like I have before. But I will then have the option then to upgrade my Outlook client when I determine it's best for my business to that latest version they've released. So at that point, then I can plan for, I can maybe give it to a couple of my power users first to see how they experience, and I can get a feel for what I think that's going to mean for my organization. An organization that deals with a lot of younger, real tech-savvy people probably can just push it out and let people figure it out. Other organizations then certainly would want some training and some classes or some other materials made available to help make that transition smooth for their end user.
All right, that's all we have for questions, and it looks like we're running just about perfect on time. But we do encourage you, if you do have any additional questions, to feel free to call or email Drew or myself. And we'll also be sending out the recording of this event through email. So if you do know anybody that you feel this could be beneficial to, please pass it along to them. This will also be posted on our website at www.pltechnology.com. We hope you've enjoyed this session and look forward to joining you for any future events. And the next webinar topic that we have heard a lot about recently is mobilization in the workforce. Thanks again for your time, and enjoy the rest of your day.